Good evening, this is Mr. Coleman with your latest video in the series Maths Revision Outside the Classroom. This is topic number 11, Indices. Now an index or power tells us how many times we multiply a number together. For instance, if we have 2 raised to the power 3, that tells us to multiply 2 by 2 by 2. And the correct answer would be 8. If we had 3 to the power 2, it would be 3 times 3, which is 9. If we had 10 to the power 4, it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which is 10,000. Now, suppose we want to work out what 3 squared times 3 cubed is. There's a very quick way of doing this. 3 squared is 3 times 3. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. So altogether you've got 5 3's multiplied together, so that is 3 to the 5. And a quick way of doing this is just to add the indices. 3 squared times 3 cubed is 3 to the 2 plus 3, which is 3 to the 5. If we wanted to do 3 to the 4 divided by 3 squared, that would be the same as doing 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 divided by 3 times 3. If we wrote that as a fraction, we'd have 81 divided by 9, which is 9. So 3 to the 4 divided by 3 to the 2 is simply 9, or 3 to the 2. The quick way of doing it, subtract the indices. So 3 to the 4 divided by 3 to the 2 is 3 to the 4 minus 2, which is 3 to the 2. And the value, if required, is 9. If we want to work out a negative index, we simply remember to do 1 over the positive index. If we require 2 to the minus 3, we work out 2 to the 3, which is 2 times 2 times 2, is 8, and take the reciprocal, 1 over 8. If we want to do 5 to the minus 2, we do 5 times 5, which is 25, and the minus simply means 1 over, so 1 over 25 is the answer. If we have a half to the minus 4, then we go a half times a half times a half times a half, which is a 16th. And then we put 1 over a 16th, which is the same as turning the fraction upside down. So it becomes 16 over 1. 1 divided by a fraction is the fraction upside down. 16 over 1, or 16. If we have 2/3 to the minus 1, 2/3 to the power 1 is 2/3, and the minus tells us to put 1 over it, which just means turn it upside down, so you get 3 over 2. If you want to do something to the power 0, the answer is always 1. 5 to the power 0 is 1, 17 to the power 0 is 1, minus 6 to the power 0 is 1, a half to the power 0 is 1. Anything to the power 0 is 1. If you want to do an index sum like 2 cubed squared, you simply multiply the indices together. So 2 cubed squared is 2 to the 3 times 2 is 2 to the 6. Because another way of saying 2 cubed squared would be 2 cubed times 2 cubed, and then we would use the addition rule and add the indices. So if we had to work out x cubed times x to the 5, using letters instead of numbers, we would use the addition rule. 3 plus 5 is 8, so it would be x to the 8. If we had y to the 7 divided by y to the 4, we'd use the subtraction rule for division. Y to the 7 minus 4 is y cubed, y to the 3. If you had a cubed to the power 4, you'd simply multiply the indices, use the multiplication rule. A to the 3 times 4 is a to the 12. Those rules only work when the numbers are the same base. For instance, if you were required to do 2 squared times 3 squared, the only way of doing it would be to work out 2 squared as 4, and 3 cubed, work out 2 cubed as 8, and 3 squared is 9, and do 8 times 9. There's no shorthand rules for when the bases are different. The numbers have to be the same. The base numbers have to be the same for those rules to work. Remember, providing the base numbers are the same, when you're asked to multiply, you add the indices. When you're asked to divide, you subtract the indices. And when it's the power of a power, you multiply the indices. Power 0 is always 1. The negative index is always the reciprocal, or 1 divided by whatever the positive index would be. Well, that's it for indices. I hope you found this video useful. Now's your chance to go and practice some questions on indices. Until the next time, it's good night.